This video will help you understand the output of Test-ProxyLogon.ps1 if you found results for one or more of the Microsoft Exchange vulnerabilities being actively exploited. If you have not already executed Test-ProxyLogon on your Exchange server to see if it's vulnerable and has been exploited, then see the video on how to run Test-ProxyLogon. The main vulnerability that we will focus on is CVE 2021-26855, which allows an attacker to send a request to the server while the server thinks the request is coming from itself. This allows an attacker to get around needing to authenticate successfully to the server with valid credentials. Attackers are most commonly using this exploit as a way to authenticate to the server in order to perform additional actions or exploits. It can be used to read a user's email, obtain email addresses for the organization, or will let the attacker use one of the other vulnerabilities to drop a file or web shell to remotely control the server. Open the Test-ProxyLogon log file that was created when the script was ran previously. Each log file will have the name of the server it was run on first, followed by the CVE number that was found, like this. Logs may be in a comma-separated value, .csv format, or they might be in a log format with files ending in .log. We will be ignoring the log age days.csv file because it just outputs the age of the log files. If besides this file, all you see in the output folder is a non-empty file with CVE 2021-26855 in the name, then it's likely the attacker was able to authenticate to the server and may have listed out accounts on the server and read email for one or more users. You can verify this by opening the file. Now, it's usually easier to view a .csv format file in some sort of a CSV viewer or Excel instead of Notepad. So I'll be using Excel and walk you through how to import it. Select all the contents of the file by clicking anywhere in the text and hit Control A at the same time on the keyboard. Next, hit Control and C on the same time, and we'll switch over to Excel. Now go to Excel and open a new workbook. Under the Paste menu item, hit Use Text Import Wizard. And then start at Import Row. You want to switch this to 2 to ignore this header right here. Then hit Next and unselect space as the delimiter and instead select comma. And then hit Finish. And then we'll have a much better formatted file to look at. So then we'll expand out the anchor mailbox column. And what we're going to look for are lines like this that have /EWS/exchange, because this is the indicator that the attacker was likely able to access some user's mailbox. You can investigate this further in the server's EWS logs to identify which users were impacted. We're not going to do that in this video. Instead, we just recommend following the remediation guidance and the documentation by disconnecting the Exchange server from the network and applying any necessary cumulative updates or security updates to prevent this exploit from working in the future. Now, going back to the Test-ProxyLogon output, I'm going to run it again here. And now we see that we have CVE 2021-26855 listed, but we also have CVE 2021-27065 listed. So we see two vulnerabilities in conjunction. So if you see more than one vulnerability in addition to 26855 in your output, then that means the attacker was likely able to perform additional actions after the authentication bypass. So in most cases, they likely dropped a web shell or some file into the server to enable them to continue to remotely control it. We can look at this additional log next. Open the directory containing the Test-ProxyLogon output and look for the additional vulnerability identifier seen. In this case, we're looking for CVE 2021-27065 and double click on that. And we can see in this case, it outputs a log path. So we will highlight that and then press Control C to copy. Then we'll close that and go to our directory here and hit Control V to paste and then hit Enter. Now, there will be quite a lot of information here, but we are looking for a specific string. So we want to go to Edit, and then Find. And we'll look for set-oab virtual directory, and then hit Find Next. And scroll a little bit here. So what we're going to be looking for is some sort of external URL that contains script, language, something like JScript, and then we'll look for an eval request like this. And not all examples are going to follow this exact format, but we can see from this that it is clearly a web shell that was written. So not all web shells will look like this, and if you happen to see something like this, you should always continue with the remediation recommendations for web shells, whether or not you've seen an entry for CVE 27065, 26858, or 26857. If you see any of those, the result is likely a web shell was dropped. Also, for next steps, make sure to pay close attention when you run the Exchange on-premises mitigation tool or the Microsoft Safety Scanner, that web shells or malware is identified. Web shell detection in those tools should happen when Test-ProxyLogon finds any additional vulnerability that was seen in addition to CVE 2021-26855. That is, unless the attacker's action failed or some other anti-malware solution already removed the file. After this step is completed, make sure to apply any remaining cumulative updates or security updates to the server to prevent further exploitation.